Hello folks. Well, I'm using a different camera. This is my daughter's Olympus SP800UZ with image stabilization that I bought her senior year in high school when she was doing photography. So we're going to see how much better, if any, this does than my cell phones. It should do better. Let's hope so. Okay, so I had a question today about how to tell if herbs are molded or how fresh they are, and I've read some things on it, but mostly this is just things that I remember from my economics book in high school, and just by handling the herbs. And then you want to know how long you can use them. Well, that is one of the benefits of having the dried herbs, and that is why I try to encourage y'all to gather those wild lettuce leaves or mullein leaves or broadleaf plantain leaves, because you can dry them and then you can use them whenever you need to. Now, with the dried herbs, it's easier to make a tincture. It gets saturated, maybe that's the word, faster. I still have it. This is the one that I use the dry herbs in, and it looked like this brown in 3 days. Now, I don't have any reason to go ahead and strain it yet. I may leave it in there for a while longer. So using the dried herbs even in tincture making or in salve making or any of these others, these infused oils and things like that, the dried herbs are concentrated. You got to think about it. It dries all up, so all of those chemicals that we are learning about and we are studying are concentrated in the leaves. And this is turning into be chemistry and biology. Now, I'm going to make it simple because I don't like it complicated. So what you're going to do is, I think the easiest way to tell if herbs are fresh is to simply look at them. Do they look good? The smell, then smell it. This is my mixed basil right here. It is very strong and very pungent. Then I'm going to say the color. Okay, you see these mullein blooms right here. Now, we're going to play a game. How old do you think either of these are? Well, we don't have a way to, do guessing. So I'm just going to tell you. These jars are both 2 years old. These are the blooms that I gathered what's left of them from 2 years ago. These are basil leaves that I did 2 years ago and crushed up, and they're as strong in odor. These mullein blooms still do the job for when I have a migraine. The blooms have a better flavor than those leaves. If you have the opportunity to gather the mullein blooms, that's the way to go, because they taste like honeysuckle. It's a very sweet nectar flavor. And I am, y'all, I don't know if you've really noticed, but I am turning into be a floral herbalist. I love the smell of the blooms. When you dry the blooms, they're still pretty. And then when you put them in liquid after they've been dried, that flavor, that smell just wafts up to you. And so I'm finding my little niche kind of in the blooms. Now, of course, I'm doing the other stuff too. But I wanted to show you these 2-year-old mullein blooms are just as bright yellow as the ones that I've been picking fresh off of the plants. that are out in the yard. Now, how do I dry them? Now, on those little bitty blooms, I just put them in a brown paper bag. And I've actually got, where'd my bags go? Here we go. And I do reuse my blooms, my bags. So in here is the mullein blooms I've been gathering every day. And here's the proof. You see the color of those? That's the same color mine that are 2 years old are. And these are all dry. They're completely dry. Now when you slow dry herbs, plants to turn into herbs, you get a less crumbly product. Now that depends on how you're going to use your herbs, whether you're going to like them real crumbly or whether you're going to like them with a suppleness to them. Now that's just me because I'm weird about touching certain things. I'm very tactile. The feel of a thing either is pleasing or it's displeasing. If it's displeasing, I don't touch it again. So that is that shows how these plants really do, when you do it yourself and they're not handled a lot and they're not processed a lot, they retain their chemical elements that we are wanting to utilize. Then there's the other thing. As I store these herbs, I do not put the lid back on and then the ring. I put a coffee filter. I either label it with a little sticky note or I write on it in marker and I put it over the top. Now my first year of working with herbs, I did not do that and I made the mistake. I lost a whole batch of a bunch of stuff that I had put in jars because I didn't get it quite dry enough. It felt dry to the touch, but it was not completely dry. So I lost a lot, and when you see mold on it, it is the same way that it looks like mold on anything else. It's gray and fuzzy. That's what it looks like. It may be a powdery gray on it, but that is how you know that mold has affected your dry products. Now, this is another thing, if you wanted to be colorful and like that Pioneer Lady person, I see that stuff in Walmart. Apparently it's somebody that's got a show or something. So I use little cupcake liners. They're perfect for the regular size mason jars, regular mouth mason jars. And so some of my little things are pretty, and then it's still there's enough air circulation in it, but your herbs are protected from any kind of dust or debris or anything like that. But this is my wild lettuce from last year, and I do actually still have some from last year left over because that's my personal stash, and I'm going to use that. I do have some set aside for myself for this year, but I want to get everybody some out to them that has need for it before I start hoarding it. But you see, that's still a very rich color, and what I'm finding is that with the herbs you do yourself, it stays a fine color. Now, on the flowers, sometimes they brown as they dry, and that's okay as long as they are completely dry. Now, this is my goldenrod that I gathered last fall when it was blooming. Made sure it was completely dried, ground it all up, and I have this for when it gets about that time of the year. I can start taking spoonfuls of it and I won't be sneezing my head off. Now, it's actually not goldenrod that causes the allergies. the goldenrod blooms have a kind of stickiness to them that their pollen stays on the bloom, and when these are blooming you should see the little bees and wasps and flies and stuff gathering nectar from it. But the ragweed that blooms at the exact same time, its pollen flies, so that is actually the allergen there. And but I have read that if you partake of the goldenrod, then it will help you with allergies, because it's also one of those that's antiviral, antibacterial, and it's an immune booster. So I did want to bring that to y'all about making sure that your herbs are completely dry. And as long as you have them in a good container where they do have some air circulation on them, they will last for a very long time. In my reading now, as I am reading to discover how long these plants have been used as medicine and what kind of documentation there is on it, they have found jars of herbs in graves and in crypts that are still fresh and usable. So that just goes to show you, one, the power of preserving your herbs properly, and also that this herbal medicine has been used for eons. With that wild lettuce, we're talking about 6,000 years. So I wanted to bring that to you. I may have another video or two that I'm going to be doing tonight. I've gotten my passiflora vine here that I've been munching on. We're gonna be touching on that the next day or two, but I forgot to take my camera with me today at work. So when I passed by the mimosa tree, didn't have my camera. So hopefully I'll remember it tomorrow. So until my next video, God bless you all, and good night.